All right, all right. For Ross, can you hear me loud and clear?
I hear you, brother.
I love it, man. Look at that UNC shirt, rocking the Raleigh vibes. I love it.
Absolutely. Got to represent.
I love it. Well, welcome, my friend. It's always a pleasure to kick it with you, especially on a super fun topic like this. SaaS, sports, spend. If this thing doesn't go over by a few minutes past the 30-minute mark, we've done something tragically wrong because you and I
Absolutely.
both know we can sit here and talk about this all day long.
We can
So
go into overtime, man. OT it.
I love it. We should keep a counter. Somebody in the audience right now, keep a counter of those silly sports puns that we throw in
All
here.
the
But
silly for us and Brad dad joke analogies.
it's gonna happen. It's about to happen. But man, so pumped to have you here, and welcome everybody for jumping in. We got a good crew in here. I see a couple of familiar faces already and names, so don't be surprised, especially Elisa, if I end up calling on you for some questions. But it's great to see everyone. For us, obviously, great to see you, and you and I always just have a great time kicking it. But for those that have not joined a webinar of ours before, welcome. We're happy to have you. Obviously, we put all this on through our community, Wizards of Ops. So it would be remiss if I didn't say, please, please, please always join our community. I'm going to toss a little button up here. You can click right there and sign up for it if you're not already in it. But we'd love to have you. The main reason we put all these events on is to continue to enable our RevOps community and continue to elevate each other. We always try to find badasses like Mr. Faraz Abdel that we have today to come in and share a lot of their wealth and knowledge of everything that we have according to some fun topics. And today's is perfectly fitting: sports, SaaS, and spend. I'd be remiss if I didn't, give the Atlanta home team Braves a nice little shout out. No big deal. We're playing in our third game for NLDS right now, so we'll keep being big Braves fans over here. But before we get too far into this, for us, I know you well enough, but I don't know if the audience does. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and something fun and exciting about yourself.
For sure. So for Ross Abdel out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Been doing RevOps for a little over a decade now. In the Salesforce environment, implemented new instances, optimized others. In the past few years, and how I met Brad, I've been in that hyper growth kind of mid-sized, mid-market level SaaS companies, and just super excited. Very familiar with Sonar. Jumped on very early, and I will tell you, it is. I'm not saying this in front of Brad because I usually give him crap instead of being super nice. But it is one of the first tools that I absolutely bring in whenever I go to a new company. So that's kept Brad and I's relationship super super strongly recently.
It absolutely has. I think one of the coolest things, getting to experience your journey in this entire RevOps world. Obviously, met many years ago during your time at Pendo. I share this often a lot with some of our customers too and prospects, and we're talking. It's like, for us, left Pendo, went to Outreach. I think I was the first or second call he made. Like, hey,
Yeah,
I need this. We've got to start really getting the handle on our CRM and go-to-market tech stack. So, man,
absolutely,
you've been with us for a while. So,
absolutely love it.
love having you here. And I'm pretty sure I'm connected with most folks on here, but if not, please let's connect. Would love to jump on LinkedIn with you or anything else, but please connect. You know me, I can sit here and talk RevOps all day long. But before we get too far into this, we are sports themed today, clearly with what we're all rocking. I'm going to be tossing my football around over here a little bit too. I was asking for us this right before we started. Your number one highlight just in your mind of sports in general? What was the best experience you ever had? Sporting event, celebrating something? What was it?
Man, the more I think about it, the more options that come to mind. But I would be remiss to say it has to be the 2 game stretch where Carolina just annihilated Duke and their legacy, and we just completely won the rivalry a couple years ago. So first game was the last game of the season, last game for Coach K at Cameron Indoor, if you remember. They had
Oh
all the
yeah.
former players there. They had all this whole, big thing. And of course, we crushed them. And then literally right afterwards, we played in the Final Four against them. And we
Yep.
beat them again. And, I'm not ashamed to say they were the better team, but we beat them twice. And, Duke fans have been hard to find since then. Hard
They
to find.
have. They've been a little quiet, huh?
Quiet. They've been quiet. They've
Yeah.
been quiet. So I have to say that's probably my favorite.
I love it. I love it. I'll share two of mine real quick. There was one that I barely remember because I was too young to really like grasp the gravity of it. But I'm one of the few people that got to see Michael Jordan play baseball. So a lot of people got to see him play
Cool.
basketball. I got to see him again super young, so I can barely remember going to
Yeah.
the Greenville Braves stadium and watching him do
Yeah.
that. But my dad reminds me of it all the time. You got to do
That's
something that
pretty
not a lot of
awesome.
people have got to be able to do. I would be remiss to say, especially during football season, I had the pleasure and luxury of being at one of the Clemson National Championships when we absolutely wiped the floor with Alabama. And there was no better 60 minutes of football than that right there. So uh,
That is awesome. That is awesome. Love it.
super, super good.
Love it.
Well, dude, let's dive in. We want to
Let's
hear
do
from
it.
y'all too. We got a poll. So I put this out on LinkedIn earlier about some of the things that we're going to talk about, but I want to hear from you. What are the biggest similarities that you see out here in the audience with everybody that's attending between sports and SaaS? There's a ton. When Faraz and I were catching up about this a couple of weeks ago and planning on putting this webinar on, we're like, man, there's a lot here. Conference consolidation, tech stack consolidation. Man, we're in the thick of budget season right now, and you're a pro at that, so I'm going to be picking your brain on all things budgeting. And then this is relatively new, but also not so new. Transfer portals in sports, at least, is a very new thing. But I relate that to our overall RevOps world of how do we accomplish the things we need to accomplish? Do we accomplish them all in-house? Do we accomplish them by using service providers and contractors? Myriad of ways to accomplish pieces. But again, there's a little similarity between sports right now. And as we're looking at it, a lot of folks are in the conference consolidation and tech stack consolidation. So I love it. We're going to keep the poll open. Jump in there, especially if you're running late or jumping in late with us. But by all means, feel free to jump in, put your notes in there. But man, let's kick it off. We're going to go into conference consolidation and tech stack consolidation. So if you think about this, and again, this is relatively new. Talking about just this year. I don't know that's the Pac-12 conference technically, but I think it's down to Pac-4 if I
Yeah.
had to think about it. But we'll also bring the SaaS side of this in, right? Like none of us are surprised to overly hear about, the Groove and Clary, acquisition. I was actually emailing back and forth with Allie over at Groove today. They've been a customer of ours along with Clary, actually using Sonar to do a lot of the org migration efforts. So she's excited about that. But that's nothing new to us, right? But when you think about this parallel between conference, I'm not going to call it realignment because it truly is consolidation. There's some conferences. You remember the Big East? That used to exist. That's not here anymore, right? ACC, we inherited a few of those. But
Yeah.
when you think about these parallels, what similarities come to mind for you, just from a business angle, from a sports angle? And really, we're going to talk more about consolidation, but similarities first. How do you think about this and navigating it from a business perspective and a sports perspective?
Yeah, I think it's there's a lot going on, right, in the markets, in the world, right, and a part of the consolidation, I think, is to simplify. I think we SaaS has been in this, if we think of it as an S curve, we've been through the middle of that S curve for I don't know, a decade now, where you get
Mm-hmm.
new tools showing up every other day. You got new companies, new methodologies, new methods of doing things. And it got very crowded. And now you're looking at tech stacks. And I can tell you, the past few roles that I've had, I've owned a lot of the GTM tech stacks, 40, 50, 60, 70 tools that a RevOps team is having to manage. Right.
Yeah.
And it between renewal calls, QBRs with the vendors, random check-in emails, it becomes a full-time job. In my last role, I literally had to hire someone just for vendor management because of how many tools and relationships we have. And I think with sports, it's not necessarily as much as the simplification as it's the money, right? Like with the sports
Totally.
consolidations, it's purely a money play, which it is a money play in SaaS as well because of budgets. That I know we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I think the
Mm-hmm.
simplification piece is the one that people overlook sometimes.
Totally. I mean, now more than ever, I'd say bringing up a mentality of less is more is actually a pretty
Mm-hmm.
good thing. I don't want to say that by hook or crook or by forcing
Yeah,
function, what have you. We've all been faced to make some tough decisions, whether that be on the headcount side, whether that be on the tech side of things. I'll tell you this aha moment that I had, and a good buddy of mine, Keith Jones, great analyst over at Gartner. Him and I were hanging out at Dreamforce a couple of weeks ago, and we attended a couple of the same sessions together. And him and I are both like lifelong learners. Like, I want to go and sit in this crowd and want somebody to tell me something new, right? And we joined one of the sessions for Salesforce Unlimited, and we got to the end of that, and I was like, if I was still in a practitioner role right now, and I'm thinking about my tech stack consolidation, and I'm looking at something, look, I'm a huge advocate of the hub and spoke model, right? We built a business around how to help with these integrations and things like that. But also from a practitioner standpoint, man, it's hard for me not to look at some of the offerings that Salesforce has right now. I'm like, I could flex this tech stack pretty far. I mean, him and I both were like, how far do you think you can flex it? I was like, I don't know, man. I could probably build something to like a $20 to $50 million ARR business with out of the box functionality, which, obviously high five to Salesforce for focusing on their product. But it's an interesting time. I think going back to one of your earlier points, monetarily speaking, that is what's going to drive all this behavior. And I think, somebody brought up another point. It wasn't Keith, it was somebody else at Dreamforce a couple of weeks ago. They were like, what am I trying to solve for? Am I trying to, they made an analogy of like, I just need to get to work. Do I need to get to work in my Lamborghini? Like, probably not. Like, I'd get there a little faster, but at the end of the day, I just need to get there, right? And if I just need to get there, I'll pick on Volvo. I drive a Volvo. Like, I can get there pretty easily and safely in my Volvo. Might not be the fastest, but it gets me there. And I think the parallel there that people are realizing is there's a lot of functionality out there in this greater tech stack world. What do I need to actually get my job done? Not, drive it in the most luxurious Lamborghini or Ferrari, but what do I need to get it done? And I think that's going to drive some of this behavior. I think the market's going to drive a lot of it as well, right?
Yep, 100%. And the other thing that I thought about that came to mind just the other day when we were talking is a lot of RevOps is still, I think, still in early stages of maturity, right? With a lot of companies, there's few leaders out there, few companies that truly understand, right, the value of RevOps and the impact of RevOps, and that's starting to grow more and more as we're getting all these awesome RevOps people all over the world, right? That are changing companies, going and saying, no, this is how you should be doing it. This is how a RevOps model should look. And as you see that, right, like through companies, we won't say quid pro quo, right? Because that's not what it is. But a lot of companies will buy a tool of their customers, or if they're looking at a specific type of tool, they'd prefer to purchase from one of their customers, even if it's not the superior tool in that space, right? And a lot of times it was executives that would be making those decisions. Now, as RevOps is starting to get a little bit more control, have a louder voice on that table, it's saying, I don't care that they're a customer. It's great that they are. Let's try to get this other company customer. But if we're really going to use this and have the impact to our business, I need tool Y instead of X, right? And that's gonna draw some consolidation as well. And it's just that RevOps voice that's getting louder and louder during those decision making sessions that I think is impacting the market for all of us.
Yes. You'll love this. I was talking to a customer of ours the other day. They're backfilling a RevOps role, and I was like, I only have one question for you. Do you need somebody to come in and tell you what to do or what not to do? And that's going to dictate the level of experience that you want. Are you looking for an analyst / manager, or are you looking for a director / VP? Because I hope if you really want to embrace this RevOps resource and really take them serious, I really hope you listen to them when they say, no, I don't think we should do that. I don't think we give ourselves enough authority sometimes to say no the way we should.
100%. 100%.
Also, I'm gonna look at Elisa's note, and I'm gonna ask you the same question. But look what she's saying. Outreach and sales law, fail as Gong takes over the engagement space. I think I've heard a couple of folks kind of predict a little bit that. So I'll spin this a little bit, and you can answer it as widely as possible. But when you think about some of those next dominoes that might fall, any predictions that come to mind in the consolidation era?
Man, I think, a couple things come to mind. One, I think tools that were at one point revolutionary are going to become more and more commoditized, right? So engagement, at least, is a perfect example, right? I think that's a tool that was the shiny new tool for a while, and And now you're seeing all of these companies, the Outreaches, the Sales Lofts, the Gongs, right, the Clarys. They're trying to look at more of the entire revenue process and the sales funnel and focusing on account executives and leaders, not just the pipeline generation. So I think you're you know, I want to say you're spot on that Gong has taken over the space, but definitely an opinion out there. But they're definitely in the ball game now, right? Like they're in there very, very strongly. And I think that's going to happen. The other prediction that this isn't based on any any insight. This is pure Faraz prediction here. Is I think you're going to see the HubSpots and the Dynamics of the world use consolidation to better compete with Salesforce, and
Totally.
you're going to see them M&As, right? Whatever. I don't think it's going to be as much product development as it's going to be acquisitions, but it could be some big names,
Totally.
and that could shake up that CRM market for sure.
Absolutely. I think we'll segue into some salary caps versus budget caps here in a second, but somebody described this to me really well the other day. They said, we've all been living for the last 18 months in this nice to have versus must have world, right? As we've been evaluating our tech stacks and looking at all of our technology. I think that is also what's going to be driving a lot of people's product roadmaps and their decision making when it comes to consolidation. Like I know I can have this one other feature and add it into my platform, and I can 1 + 1 = 85, and I can really see what I can maximize that revenue on. So
100, and look, it works the same way. Like even in Elise's note, right? It works the same way with conversational intelligence. Everybody's got it,
totally,
right? It's all over the place. So Gong recognized that and was like, okay, we can't just put all our eggs in one basket. We've got to break out of this. So
reporting, analytics, pipeline management, all that in that same bucket, and all
data
the platforms
enrichment.
are really starting to focus. And enrichment, yes, data enrichment. You're spot on. All right. You have managed massive tech stacks, and you don't really get to have massive tech stacks without massive budgets. So things that don't exist much in 2023, massive budgets, right?
Yeah.
But when you think about, we'll take the sports side of things first. Some industries are regulated in this sense. Baseball has salary caps. George Steinbrenner's never paid attention to it at all from the New York Yankees side of things. The Braves sadly sometimes have, and we lost Freddie Freeman, still salty about it. But there's guardrails there. And there's a lot of guardrails in our world of RevOps as well, which I described this to somebody the other day. I love selling to RevOps teams. Obviously that's my passion, it's my background as well as yours. But we're still, I think, in some of the early innings where businesses are looking at this as a department to say, all right, well, I've dedicated 20 plus people to this thing, and I've got a lot of manpower and people power there. What other budgets do I need? What other technologies do I need? What other things do I need to be focusing on? When you are fighting for budget and articulating that value, any tips, tricks, things that you think of that help customers or that help you get across the finish line to being able to do that?
Yeah, for sure. Let's take the internal first, right? So RevOps is not sales ops anymore, right? And that graduation, right, happened from a title perspective, happened from a impact perspective. It's slowly happening with budgeting. It hasn't hit budgets yet. And what I mean by that is, with RevOps, they'll be called RevOps, but then they're a part of the sales budget. But then you have the CX team that comes to you and says, "Hey, we really want to look at a CS platform. Can you help us evaluate and see which one works within our tech stack?" Well, that's completely separate budget. So you're now having RevOps having to manage a tool that's not technically within our departmental budget. Same thing with marketing, right? Marketing ops is becoming more and more popular to be a part of a RevOps team. However, the tech stack of marketing is still in marketing. So I think there's still some maturity that has to happen across SaaS where we have to figure this out. And, if it was up to me, if I was writing the constitution and the ROE on this, right, operations should be its own thing, regardless of the stakeholder groups that we should have. And your go-to-market tech stack, if you want to stick it to go-to-market tech stack should live under a dedicated RevOps budget, not try to pull from sales or CX or marketing. So from internally, that argument is being had, I think, at more well established RevOps teams and having those executive conversations. And externally from a vendor perspective, right? We're talking about consolidation, but what doesn't happen often is a buyer, and I'll say this even for myself, managing, but I don't stay updated or keep track of if so and so company changed their pricing and packaging 6 months ago. I'm just not paying attention to updated pricing and packaging until we get to renewal. And then when we get to renewal, they're saying, oh, by the way, we need to get you to the new PNP and it's 30% more, but you're getting all these great things. And it's like, well, hold on, my budget's already set for the year. You need to be telling me about this far in advance so I can play with that budget. So that's a message to the vendors, but also to RevOps leaders or budget owners, is to say, have those conversations with your vendors. I know they get gruesome when there's so many of them, but you got to have that conversation and know what's out there. And that's where the consolidation play, I think, hits hard, because you'll see, I'll give you an example, right? Like Zoom Info, it's what we use for data enrichment. You look at their new pricing and packaging, they're doing a lot of the same things that UserGym does. They're doing a lot of the same things that LinkedIn Sales Insights does, right? And then you could look at it and see all these different features of these packages. And rather than a 30% increase, maybe there's some consolidation to play there and be able to save on some other contracts that you have. So you've got to play that game really, really well, or you're going to be spending a ton of money.
You have to. It is, I've talked to so many folks. I've talked to our vendors about it. I've talked to everybody in our community about it, right? You don't get to go blindly into a CFO's office and say, I need this tool because it's going to make my life easier. They're going to look you dead in the eyes with a funny face and say, candidly, don't care about how easy your life is. Like, I need an ROI statement, right?
Yeah.
And so I actually just added this. I'm going to add it up here to the screen. It's going to show over my face, which is totally fine. The cool thing here, we started using this RevOps ROI statement. And for anybody that's watching this, happy to send this out and share it. But you need to be able to go in to that conversation and say, here's what I plan on spending. Here is the outcome that I expect it to have. It's either going to decrease the number of hours we're using for things. It's going to increase our average contract value, decrease expenses, whatever that looks like. And again, I know it's kind of probably hard to see on the screen, but we kind of give you a little bit of a cheat sheet. And it's not perfect, but directionally, it's a great place to start when you go in and talk to a CFO. I think one of the hard things that so many people have is, I know I need this piece of software, but I really have a hard time justifying it. And if there's anything that I think about customer journeys, James MacArthur, we talk with him all the time. James says best, take care of your customer in that customer journey. Part of that customer journey is, one, a successful sales to success handoff. But man, the clock starts right there. You have 364 days to bring delight to somebody to where you don't have to have a hard conversation a year from now, and set them up for success. Say, like, we tell our folks all the time, a year from now, I hope this is the easiest conversation we have. What needs to be true for us to renew with you 364 days from now? But nobody asks that as early and often as they should, right?
And I love your call out about the CFO, because there's been a very drastic shift, right? Before, you walk into your CFO's office, if you want to get an extra 20% on a contract, now you're going into your CFO's office to justify what you already have, right? Because they're coming and saying, hey, for us, you need to cut your budget. So you need to tell me which tools are nice to haves, which are needs to haves, where can you save me dollars? So it's not even, you're having to fight what you already have, rather than adding something new. And if you want to add 30% to X contract, you better find those dollars within your existing budget. There is no flex, right? The COVID flex times where you can get an extra 50K off the whim, is that's not there anymore. That's gone.
Those days are in the past. Those are in the
Those
rearview mirror.
beautiful
And I don't
days
think
are
we're getting
gone.
back. Those beautiful days are gone forever.
Beautiful days.
I agree. But there's, I think, the silver lining there, and I'm going to even go back to theme number one that we talked about, right, of the consolidation. People are going to buy what matters to them and what truly helps drive the business forward. And sadly, I think we're going to see some things fall off on the nice to have column, and I hate that, but it's truly going to make product companies better, full stop. Now, what a great transition into theme number three, right? optimizing the solutions for your RevOps team, because we were just talking about products. However, we're not all robots yet. As close as OpenAI is trying to make us, we're not yet. And love the folks over at OpenAI, right? We've got OpenAI and ChatGPT already threaded and laced into Sonar now. But we're not robots yet. We're still all people. Optimizing solutions for your RevOps team is tough when it comes to people. So my question to you is, again, that's the wrong call to action. Hang tight. Let me get back to my.
But still, join
There we
Wesley
go.
Ops if you haven't already.
There we go. You can still join WizOps, that's for sure. But my overlay was a little off. There we go. I think this is the right one. What is the optimal solution for resourcing for your RevOps team? Whether it be using the transfer portal and finding somebody outside. We're going to come back to transfer portal questions and some more stuff in a second. But what do you think about that? You clearly can't have an expert in the room on your team all day, every day. So you have to rely on that. How did you think about that just over your course of time with Pimdo and outreach, optimizing for that from a team and resources perspective?
Yeah, so I think of the T. Let's continue our sports. Let's add one to the tally of the sports analogy matchup, right? So let's think of it as a lineup or a roster, and we'll use football, right?
Yeah.
A lot of, I won't say a lot. There are sales ops teams that have, let's say, 7 people, and they've got 7 quarterbacks. They've got let's go wide. We're not going to go deep. We're going to go wide, and we're just going to have people that we can plug into various projects here and there, and can take things to the finish line. I am vehemently against that model. So whoever has that model, I'm sorry. I don't like that model. I prefer subject matter expertise within the team. You're going to have some generalists on the team. That's going to naturally happen as you create career pathing within RevOps in your organization. And of course, size of the team fully depends on size of the team and size of the company. So when I'm talking, let's say 50, 60 million ARR plus, which is what my experience for the last few years has been, is you really got to find those subject matter expertise. And how do I do that? I use the funnel, right? And I'll say that, right? So if we look at the funnel, traditionally there's the slide everybody uses where it's the vertical funnel coming down from like pipeline generation to SDR to AEs, SQLs, and the whole model. I think that whole flow is completely broken now. It's a completely different world. You're seeing it with people focusing on expansion. A lot of companies is a majority of their revenue is coming from expansion. So rather than this funnel going top to bottom, you really got to think of it as a cyclical circle model. You got to always think of your pipeline generation not having separate funnels between customers and new customers and existing customers, but how do we generate more pipeline, whether it's expansion or new logo, right, through our current customer base? Because as you work up market, you could have new customers with subsidiaries or new divisions or whatever it is, rather than, hey, let's add seats here or let's try to sell a new product here, right? So I look at the funnel and then I try to find within my team who are the subject matter experts, right? Maybe it's a marketing ops type of department or role, right? If your team is big enough to really, sequester a bit that way, right? Is look at, all right, let's look at marketing ops. They're going to be our top of the funnel experts, and they're not going to be marketing experts. They're going to be top of the funnel experts. What does that mean? Pipeline generation through SDR qualification, ready to hand off to the sales team. They've got to own that and be just absolute experts on it, right? And then you look at things like deal velocity and forecasting and pipeline coverage and sales methodologies, kind of that middle section of when an AE gets the deal. What does that look like? And then of course you look at your customer success and customer experience and who's going to help with customer health, because a lot of people know this as well, right? When you have customer success operations, a lot of times their expertise is on customer health and the activities of the customer, rather than how do we marry that with the art and science of generating expansion pipeline. That subject matter expertise should be able to tie those things together, right? Customer health and expansion are one and the same now. You cannot separate those things. And so that's absolutely how I look to build my teams, at least, is find the experts right? Find the running back and the wide receiver and the O line and the quarterback. Let everybody play their role, and if they all play well, then we can't lose.
Agreed. I'm going to go back to right where you started with it because I thought it was so profound. You're like, you can't really go win a game with 7 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
You can try, and that's not to certainly not to downgrade quarterback athleticism or capabilities, but there's not many quarterbacks I know that can play offensive line that well.
I was going to say,
Or
if I was
defensive
playing
line.
quarterback, I do not want another quarterback in front of me. I can tell you that
No, absolutely not.
much.
Absolutely not. But I think also that does bring a parallel back into one like transfer portal side of things, but also like we're all so tight right now with our purse strings and our wallets. And there's times that yes, I'd love to go to my CFO and say like, I know I need another head count. I need somebody to focus on customer success ops, and they're gonna probably look at you funny and say like, you know what, that budget's frozen. That head count's not happening. How else can we solve it? And I do think there's a great place there. We've got a ton of different partners, and obviously our community is full of great partners with everybody that's there. I think that's a good way sometimes to help fill that gap and to bridge that gap. And
100%.
honestly, I was having this conversation with Chris Feza, the CEO of Apparatus, and he was like, "Yeah, there's times that I get feedback from our customers when we come in and help with a certain project or insert a new system or technology or overhaul a new methodology. It's like there are times that the executive sponsor, CRO, CFO, CEO comes to me and says, fantastic project. We're certainly going to sign you up for another one in a couple of months, but I just have to let you know, you've up leveled my team. Like by coming in, you have helped make our current RevOps team better. And because they get to see a new flavor, a new personality, a new person, man, you get new folks in the door. Sometimes people stand up a little more straight and they get their shit together and they start working harder. And so I say that in the most sincere way to everybody listening. If you can't fill things internally and build out a large, robust team, especially in a market condition that we're in right now, perfectly fine. There are experts out there that are willing to help even in short-term bases. So I love that. Man, look at that. I said that we're going to cruise through some time. We're already at the 34-minute mark or so.
Right.
All right. I'm going to rapid fire a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Some sports related and some SaaS related. And yes, to everybody that's watching this, he has no clue what questions are coming.
I have no idea. I'm scared now. I'm worried.
Love it. Right, don't be worried. I'm not going to throw anything crazy at you. Like
I don't know. I know you, Brad.
Just true. I do throw crazy shit at you. Is UNC forever going to be in the ACC?
No.
Ooh. All right. Question
Do I
number
want
2 to
them
that.
to be? Yes. I don't think they will.
Of course. Will they be in the ACC for the next 5 years?
Yes.
Ooh. Okay. I like that. All right. We talked about TV contracts. Disney owns everything. ESPN owns everything. We know that. All right. SaaS and overall our ecosystem that we operate in. Hot topic here. Buckle up. SDR function. Will there be a full-fledged SDR function 10 years from now?
No.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And that's not to say that is one of the most important roles in any business. I'm not saying that it's 100%. Not. I think given Elisa, no. All caps, no. I agree. I think there will be the function there. I don't know if we'll have the dedicated role. I think we're going to always have to be responsible for feeding ourselves. No company survives fully on inbound, so we always have to do some outbound. Where we can start to marry up technology and obviously, stop me if you've heard this, AI. It's a little thing out there that everybody's going bananas about.
Allen Iverson?
I think there's Allen Iverson. The answer. Yes. The answer number 3. God, good sports reference right there too, man. I knew that was
We're on a
perfect.
roll. We're on a roll.
We're on a roll. We're on a roll. All right. Biggest football sports prediction, and you can go NFL or college. What is the craziest thing that you think is going to happen this year in the world of football?
Ooh, that's a good one. Can I give you 2?
There's low hanging fruit here, and
I know. I'm gonna give you 2.
All right, give me 2.
One is a prediction and a big wish of mine. Okay. Cowboys miss the playoffs.
I love how you celebrate other people's misery. That's fantastic.
100. The Cowboys? Absolutely. I am 100% on this Stephen A. bandwagon here. Giants fan for everybody that's
there. So,
yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to implode. I think Trayvon Diggs' injury is a lot more impactful than people are giving it credit for. Really cool stat that I heard the other day about that makes me feel good about that prediction. The Cowboys were playing man to man, and they were first or second in the league at how many plays they ran man to man. They are now 30th after the injury. So their defense is completely flipped upside down. So sorry, Cowboy fans, if there's any. Actually, I'm not sorry, but if there are any out there, I don't think you'll make the playoffs. College,
yeah,
I'll give you a college one. I know you're a big college football fan.
go Tigers.
Not just this year. I think Saban has won his last title.
Ooh, that's an aggressive
I think
one.
Bama's done.
I don't disagree with you on that.
I think Bama's done.
That's a bold statement. I don't think you're wrong. Now,
You
I think he's got to be bold.
You wanted bold.
True. It's super bold. Now, similar to Dabo, and I've got different thoughts on him. He should probably use the transfer portal. I made a joke the other day to one of our investors. I was like, that'd be like me creating a software company and telling my engineers to write all their code on a pen and paper and not use the tools in front of them like a transfer portal.
Well, you know what happened to Roy in basketball? I mean, he wasn't big on it, and he had to go.
Got to go.
So
I don't know. Too bad.
Gotta get with the times, man.
Yeah, it just cost $65 million for that to happen right now, so it's not going to happen. I'm going to make a parallel, though. I'm going to go back to the SaaS side, and I'm going to give you one and only prediction. When you talk about the defense shifting from being one of the best in the league to one of the worst in the league so quickly, we've seen this happen strategically in software before. And sadly, it's when companies are overly bullish on a specific strategy. I mean, look, I lived a lot of time in the ABM space prior to starting this business, and I saw a lot of companies drink that Kool-Aid and it not work out nearly as well for them. I've seen a lot of companies try to pivot to a PLG versus a full in-house sales team. Some of those don't go well. So there's some parallels there. When you shift strategy so quickly or lose a key player or a key component to your business, that can be risky and while also rewarding. I got to tell you though, man, I'm a little disappointed in you not taking the low-hanging fruit. That was one of the biggest sports predictions of the year. You know what that is, right?
Which one? What is it?
Oh man, that all of our Swiftie fans out there buckle up. She's going to break up with Kelsey, and the Chiefs are destined to not win the Super Bowl this year.
Well, she missed the game. She missed the game this past Sunday, and he got injured. So she may be the good luck charm.
No offense to anybody that's a Minnesota fan or lives in Minnesota. There's a reason she missed that game. So we'll stay there. All right. I know we're getting close on time. That was a shot fired to that team. As always, we do this every single one of these. You've been on here before, and so I'm going to ask you, as always, we have such a big audience of operations folks. And again, if you're not already in WizOps, I'm going to throw that bad boy up there again. Jump in and join. But we always like to leave people with some tactical advice, something they can take with them today that will help them in their journey, the journey that you've been on for a very long time and have been wildly successful in. What big advice do you have right now, especially in the year 2023 on October 11th? What do you got?
That's a good question. Going back to my subject matter expertise analogy there, pick your position. What piece of operations are you truly passionate about? What gets you up and gets excited in the morning? A lot of times in operations, you're coming from a specific role, right? Are you coming from a sales role? Are you coming from a CX role? And do you love that space? And then make that your differentiator, right? Just go deep, don't go wide. Everybody's always gone wide with RevOps. This is the time to really be an expert at what you do best. So pick your position and work on your position, right? Another sports analogy. Quarterback does not work out the same way that a running back does, right? And it's the same thing in RevOps. So pick what you love and stick to it, and you'll be the best in the world at it.
You're spot on, man. I couldn't agree with you more. Find the passion. Honestly, just wake up every day and go have some fun. Life's too short not to do that. But you're probably not going to find a ton of passion in something that you're not passionate about, that you don't enjoy. Find that part of it that you really enjoy. If it's the data side, great. If it's the system side, great. Enablement side, great. CS side, pick your flavor. But find it, and you will be better at your job by showing the passion that you have for it. So couldn't agree more. Man, 100%. It's so good seeing you. Dude, we got we got another one of these coming up. I'm not going to let you go too quickly because we got to take a little screenshot. We got to wave to everybody on LinkedIn that missed this today so they can catch the recording. But for those who are still hanging on with us, thanks for jamming for the last 42 or so minutes. We have another one of these coming up with some cool folks. Not nearly as cool as for us, but don't tell them I said that. But no, we've got a really cool one with Jamie McGee from Pricefighter, our good friend Jeff Ignazio. Oh, she's so good. Yeah. Oh, you know Jamie. Yeah, we had both of y'all on our we had both of y'all on our company kickoff a couple years ago.
Absolutely.
She's so good. But we're gonna talk about all things dumpster fires with her, Jeff Ignazio, and a good friend Sean Lane from previously at Drift, now has gone off on his own and started his own consulting business. So super pumped for that. So please join us for that. Last but not least, like I said, for us, we're gonna take a quick screenshot. You're going to be waving or giving a big number one.
Right.
Wave at me. Wave at me. Hey, there we go. All right. That way we can at least make everybody jealous who didn't get to join live, but they can catch up on the recording. So as always for us, I'm going to kick you down to the green room with you and I so we can catch up right after this. But for everybody that joined, thank you so much. We wouldn't have this community without everybody jumping in and having a good time on these webinars. If there's anything you ever want to hear or talk about, let us know. That's what we're here for. We love talking about all things sports, SaaS, and spend, but man, we'll talk about anything that you want. So as always, have a great rest of your week. It's past hump day, so we should be downhill from here. We'll talk to everybody soon. For us, I'll see you in the green room. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.